Hello everyone, this is Fazlai back with another video, and today I'm going to show you something fancy. Quite a while ago I have created this nested menu with HTML, CSS and JavaScript, as well as I've showed you how to do that like dynamic nested menu with PHP and MySQL. And so today I'm going to show you how can you do that with like a JSON object, which is already like supposed to saved on your database, and you get that from database and just basically fetch the data and dynamically show that into a nested menu. So without any further ado, let's get started. First of all, I'm going to copy this HTML from my previous menu that I've created, and the styling as well as some basic JavaScript for mobile menu. Okay, the navigation buttons are not showing because of there are some links, I guess. Font awesome. Let me add them. So I guess it will work now. Yes, the navigation is working. Now let me show you something cool here. Let me create a variable here like JSON object. Let me copy this one from previously created a JSON file like this. So the thing is, I don't need this navigation statically typed. I have to make it dynamic. So what's happening here basically, like there is a UL with nav class, and inside that nav class there are some allies, ally home, and if there is any nested items, then this drop down class will be added, and inside that drop down class there will be this nested UL and allies. So basically it will keep nesting these UL items until there is no navigation items left. So basically I guess I don't need this one UL. I will make it dynamic from this JSON object. Okay, now let's see like menu SQL JSON dot parse. This is basically a string that you can store in database, and you will fetch this data from your database and you will parse your JSON from this string. Let me see if the data are showing or not. Unexpected JSON. Okay, it's working. The JSON is parsed into this JavaScript object. Now we can loop through this or whatever we want to do. I will create a function here, basically function like iterate JSON menu, and I will take 3 parameters. One is the menu, the second one is initial equal true and key equal null. I will explain each of them, how will I use them. At first, this JSON object, not JSON object, menus, we will call them down here, and after getting the menu we will work here. First of all, let's let me take the parent element first, which is this one, nav parent equal document dot query selector nav. Then what we will do, we will create some HTML elements. Const ul. First of all, we will need an ul document dot create element, which will be ul. Then if this is the first ul element, like this nav class will exist on the first iteration of the objects. So first of all, we will see if the initial is true. If it's true, then we will, no, not this one, we will add this class list dot add nav, otherwise nothing will happen. Then we will check if it's initial, then append ul, or else append inside the li. I will explain that later. Before that, we will have to do something like menus dot for each of the item, for each menu, and also we will need the key. What we will do, we will add this, we will also create this li inside this for each. Basically, first of all, we are creating this ul, then inside the ul we will need some li, and then we will check if the menus. From here you can see there is this object property called children. If there is children, then we will do some other stuff here. First of all, we will check if there is any children. Then what we will do, we will copy this one, we will add a drop down. So basically here, if there is this nested items, then we will add this class, otherwise nothing will happen. After that, what we will do, we will add set attribute, let's make it large here. We will add something like this, let me create a random string, not random, let me create a string basically with menu dot name. Let me copy this one from my previously written code. What is happening here? The name, menu name, replace if there is any empty space inside the menu name, then we will remove that and we will add the key here to create a string, and we will set that string on each of the li item. I will show you why am I doing this here. We will need that to specify the li item with particular data position, and after that we will append this child inside this UL. Then let's copy this part. We will need an anchor tag as well, and we will set an attribute with href. We will need that href because of the links, navigation links from this object. As you can see, each of the objects have this kind of property like href, and we will set it here, menu dot href. Then we will also need each of the navigation items with their corresponding menu name from this object. Each of the object have this property with menu test and all that, menu one sub. Then after that we will append it. Let's copy this part, paste it here, and we will append on each of the anchor tag inside each of these, each of the anchor tag inside the list items. And after that we will do something here, which is like if each of the li items have this children object, then we will go through the same function recursive way, and we will pass the menu children object, the nested object basically, and also we will need this string to specify the position of where you need to append the nested items. So I guess it's working or not. It's not working. There is some kind of error here. Cannot read properties of null in class list. Okay, why isn't it working? Okay, I will check that later, but before that I need to make sure that it's working on the desktop screen size. So here okay, I will need to add something. Oh, I still didn't finish my code. Here we will check if it's the initial iteration of the code, like on the first time. What we will do, we will append on my parent, navigation parent, we will append that UL. Then if it's not the initial iteration, I'm sending this false from this menu children part to check if the iteration of this function is false. If it's false, then we will do something fancy here. we will create this variable and get this position from what we are sending from the function below. This is string to determine the position of the list item. Data position equal this key, and if the position is found, then what we will do, we will append child to the UL. Is it working? Yep, it's working. So congrats, you have successfully created a menu, nested menu from JSON object. So basically this JSON object, it can be anything. You can store it in your database and fetch the data with fetch API, and basically just parsing the JSON object, just turned it into a JSON object to array, then like iterating over the data. You can also do this stuff. You can use this with your React or Vue.js or anything like that, maybe Node.js too. So there's that. So let me explain the code from very first. I will provide my CodePant link below. You can check it out from there. So I don't need this part of the code. I'm basically doing it with JavaScript. So what I did here, I have created this object, JSON object, and stored it into a variable, then parsed the object into a JavaScript array, and then after that I have taken this navigation item from my HTML DOM as nav parent. Then I've created this function which is called iterate JSON menu, and inside that function there is 3 parameters: menus, initial, and key. The menus is basically this object that I've created here. At first we will call this function iterate JSON menu with the parameter of menus. Initially the value of this initially will be true and the key will be empty. So first of all we are creating this UL, this entire UL at first. Then we are checking that if the initial is true. If it's true, then we will add a nav class in that navigation, and after that we are checking if the initial is true, then we will append it. So at first iteration of this object, it will append here in our HTML. Else position, how are we getting this position? We will see here. We are iterating through this menu, and inside every iteration we are creating li and anchor tag. Each of the li we will check if there is children. If there is children, then we will add this class drop down with that will do this one, like creating this arrow each of the li items. And then we are making a string with menu name and each of the iteration key item, and we are setting the attribute as data position here. Let me show you. As you can see, there is this attribute on each of the li items with the menu name and the key. So after that, we are appending each of the li items inside that UL which we have created before here. Then like similarly, we are creating an anchor tag with the attribute of href, which is basically the link, and text content, which is the menu name, and we are appending it on each of the li items. After that, if there is children found inside any of the li items, we are calling the same function again recursively, and we are sending the menu children as the menu item, and the initial will be false, so that the UL doesn't have the navigation class, which is nav. And then the str means the data position. So why do we need that data position? We are checking if the data position attribute exists in the menu item, then we will append on that item. So here we are checking if the position does exist in the HTML item, then we will append that inside that li as a submenu. So here, as you can see, the data position, and we are appending here there. We can do something to remove the data position, like, let me copy this code here. We will take all the list and we will remove all the data position attribute if it exists in the DOM element. So that's it, guys. This is a really cool way to iterate over nested object and create a fancy navigation menu. So hopefully you guys have learned something new, and I will catch you guys later, and obviously I will provide all the links below. Have fun. Bye bye.